What is going on, everybody? This is the newest episode of Stasis Chat. It is episode 8. Welcome, I'm your host, Sentinel17, and today I'm joined by Stubz and BMG. Stubz Gaming, why don't you tell everyone what you've been playing so far this week?
Hello, Sentinel. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Good to hear. So this week I've been playing a little game I discovered on GamePass as recommended by a Friendly Pest the other week called Vampire Survivor. Now, this is like a game that's like crack. I love it. All right. It's a roguelike vampire game, but it's a 2D game. It's just, I even went to the level of buying it. It's only £3.90 via game, £3.19 via Game Pass, £3.99 normally, and it's just so damn addictive. I'm getting better and better as you do with roguelites, and it seems to have just blown up. I looked on Steam; it blew up on Steam. It's blown up on Xbox. It's got 250 odd reviews. It's massively positive, and it's through Game Pass. But yeah, there was something quite funny because I've spent hours and hours on this game so far. I'm getting better, but like something Scott from Green Pass Gaming mentioned on the Reddit post, somebody was complaining about the game, basically saying it's predatory. It's predatory real time. A £3.99 game is predatory. But yeah, I've been playing that. I've been playing. Hang on. I have been playing. If you wait just 1 second, I've been playing Sonic Frontiers. As you can see in my logo.
That's awful.
That is a very
Get
good.
that
Very.
off.
I won it thanks to the Sega guys at the Sega Guys podcast. Sega provided a code for them on the Xbox. Only 6 people entered. Because you had to actually do something. It was more than a retweet and a like. You had to actually go in the show and find out what the guest's favourite console, piece of music, and game was. And you know what people are like nowadays, they can't be bothered. So people didn't apply. But after people started to complain, they didn't see the tweet. Which, who knows what happened. But it was 4 or 5 tweets went out. But, I've not had very Sonic games generally. I prefer the Mega Drive versions, the 2D games. But this actually is like bosses. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. It's quite challenging in places, but it is quite fun. It's much better than what that demo showed.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people.
He's gone.
Oh, we lost Stubz, I guess.
Well, that's what he gets for showing Sonic. Rest in peace.
Right. Well, I guess he'll be back, hopefully. Okay, so BMG, what have you been playing this week?
What's up, Sentinel? Yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to see you in the hosting seat. It's always awesome to be on a show with you and talk things going on in the gaming world. But yeah, it's great to be here. Well, it's one of them. I'm making my way through God of War Ragnarok. Really enjoying it. It's the story's really gripped me, and I'm savouring every minute I can of it. I've not getting as much time in gaming as I want to. I got a quick half hour in before the show tonight, and I'll probably get a bit more in after the show. But yeah, absolutely brilliant, loving it. Other than that, I've been dipping into a bit of the Halo Infinite co-op campaign, which it just makes the game feel like new again. I fell off the multiplayer. I just wasn't. It wasn't so much that I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy the multiplayer, but it's literally the minute I'm spawning, I was just getting shot, killed. And I'm like, you know what? This really isn't fun. So I've kind of fell off the multiplayer, but I do have it installed. But no, the co-op campaign I've been enjoying a little bit of. Myself, you, Sentinel, and a Friendly Pest, we jumped into a bit of co-op campaign Friday evening, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. Yeah, I haven't played. I haven't really played a lot of co-op recently, and when you first floated the idea to me, I was like, I'll try it. I've never really played co-op in Halo, a Halo game before, but it was a lot of fun. I did, of course, play the game when it first came out, the campaign all the way through, and I was surprised with how much fun I had with it. But as much fun as I did have playing by myself through the campaign, it was actually more fun as co-op. And I think that's kind of, I feel like that's something they should have added right at the start, even if that meant delaying the game. I think it would have been, a lot of people would have been a lot happier if it would have had co-op right from the start.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that they had the flight in the summer, and it seemed to go brilliantly from what everyone said. I didn't touch it myself because I thought I don't want to make progress in it just have to start all over again. It seemed to run. All the reviews and previews of trying the co-op campaign seemed to go flawlessly. Everyone said it was brilliant, and then didn't come out till November, which is very strange. But yeah, we had a good laugh. I learned I can't control vehicles. Somehow everything I tried using got stuck between a tree or a rock, and
or flying off a cliff.
Flying off a cliff.
It's not on Destiny, is it?
Yep.
And I can't kill enemies for no love of money. I'm good at killing my teammates, and it was a good laugh. But I've just installed that Battlefield 2042 because I believe that drops tomorrow. So
yeah, I haven't installed it yet, but I plan on doing it. Yeah.
I'm hopefully gonna have a bash on that tomorrow.
Sounds good. Okay, well let's tackle our first topics today. The first one, and this was kind of a late arrival, but I think we should bring it up first, is the Call of Duty deal that was offered to PlayStation by Microsoft. They said 10 years. PlayStation has refused to comment on it. What are your thoughts on that, BMG?
Well, at first, because obviously when it first came around, they said would extend the deal a further 3 years, which is on top of the marketing deal that finishes in 3 years' time or 2 years' time. I can't quite remember. 2024, 2025, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so they offered a further 3 years on top of that, and the PlayStation said, no, it's a slap in the face, pretty much. That's not good enough, Call of Duty, nothing can rival it. We can't make anything to how good it is. And they weren't having it. They weren't happy with it. And that was that. And, and then, it's now come about that Phil Spencer said, I'm willing to do a 10-year deal. Obviously, that 10-year deal is obviously to guarantee native version, same as Xbox version, graphical fidelity, all that. The exact same day and day with Xbox and onto PlayStation for the next 10 years. I'm assuming that 10 years is after the current deal. So really, essentially, it's like a 12, 13-year deal, if you think about it, because they've got this deal to finish, then they've got 10 years then as a deal. But I don't think PlayStation will be happy with it. Obviously, they're probably happy, we've got 10 years, but what they won't be happy with, and probably why they're not commenting, is because it's not going to be a marketing deal. It's going to be, you're just going to get the game guaranteed for the next 10 years after the current deal expires. But, we're going to have to sit down and work things out. And that's where it'll fall onto the PlayStation side. Xbox have made the offer of 10 years, and it's like now they can put it to PlayStation. Ball's in your court now. Are you willing to do happy with that? And we'll sit and negotiate a deal. And if they can't come up with a deal, Microsoft will turn around and say, look, we offered them in this. These were the terms, which were fair, and they said no. So what do you want us to do? But even without a deal, they have turned around and said, as long as there is a PlayStation sold and out there, Call of Duty will be on it regardless. So, and I don't know how much clearer Phil Spencer can be with that. And everyone's saying, "Oh, I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of him telling us the same thing." Then ask different questions. You keep asking the same question, you're going to get the same answers. He's going to keep answering the question that everyone's asking, but we'll see.
What about you, Stubz? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, the difficult thing is, you can sit there and say what he wants, 10-year contract this, 10-year contract that, and it's hard to tell people. Phil can't do anything, right? They're just these are just assumptions because until Microsoft own that company, they can't do nothing. They can't hold meetings. They can't do anything. These things they're offering are so the EU competition board and the CMA can see them in the public eye.
Yeah,
They're not. None of this is legally binding. The deal could go through, and it has to be done with a regulator. So
I wonder if that's part of it.
I've heard that's what it is. It's not really. They say they offer it to Sony, but legally, probably if you trust Luke, Microsoft can't actually offer them a contract because they don't own them. You see what I mean? They can't offer them a contract even for 3 years because they don't own them.
Yeah, it's not legally bound to them yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's more. I'd say it's more of a perception thing. There maybe one of the maybe the EU or CMA have actually turned around and said, if you sort of offer this minimum term, then we're more favourable of it. Maybe, I don't know. That's just an assumption, but it's mainly this is for regulators, isn't it? Yeah, it's for regulators to see. They're trying to show
the regulators
willing to work
in
with
the business of believing multi-billion-dollar, multi-trillion-dollar word. You see what I mean? A lot of these big companies, not saying it's Microsoft, but a lot of deals have gone through with this kind of crap, and they've gone back on their word.
Yeah, so, I think.
And then in the end,
you make a lot of good points, though. About it just being about perception, because so far, PlayStation has really been very vocal with opposing this. And then of course you have the CMA that has been, they've been pretty adamant about Xbox not really being, this move not being consumer friendly, and that's completely ridiculous because right now, as it is with PlayStation getting exclusive perks with PlayStation, or with Call of Duty, I'm sorry, I don't think that's consumer friendly because it's like PlayStation gamers get stuff that Xbox gamers don't, and of course we all see this.
Yeah, is okay. Yeah, that isn't, but the CMA and EU and all the regulatory boards understand that's a business deal. It's not anything underhanded.
I've got an example for you.
Yeah.
It happened actually, near my local area. Stagecoach is one of the biggest bus, if not the biggest bus company in the country. Yeah. And near our local area, they went to purchase the the second, what would be the second biggest company. And what happened is obviously CMA was involved because obviously it would give them a monopoly in the entire county that they would have everything. So what happened at first is when they were trying to buy out the business, they were running the same route for cheaper. And eventually the other local company, they sold to them, went through the regulator fine. There were some concessions where, fair pricing, all this, that, and the other. And then what ended up happening is once the deal had gone through, about, I think it was just under a year after the deal was complete and the CMA had approved it, the Stagecoach company, they kind of went back on what was agreed. And essentially, they were driving up prices because there was no competition. They were charging more. And it turns out then the CMA got back involved and forced them to actually sell the company. So they had to sell that part of the business back off again. And it had to go to another private firm.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's an example where they actually did a good job watching out for the consumer.
That's it. So that's what these regulators would do. If these is like, concessions that they have floated and Xbox has said, and Microsoft saying we're willing to give 10 years, if that's the sort of area regulators were looking at, and if they offer that and then go back on that, then a regulator will just step back in and say, I'm sorry, you have to sell the company.
Well, I can do that. I kind of feel like PlayStation doesn't even care if it's 1 year, if it's 10 years, if it's 20 years. I feel like the thing that they're really wanting Xbox and Microsoft to come out and say is that as long as we're making Call of Duty games, once this acquisition goes through, as long as we're making Call of Duty games, they will never come to Game Pass. I think that's what PlayStation wants, because right now, Game Pass is kind of, they're the elephant in the room, so to speak. I think if it comes to Game Pass, that's going to significantly affect the Call of Duty, the Call of Duty's presence on PlayStation. And I think that's what Jim Ryan really wants. He's, they could offer them, like I said, 50 years, but I kind of feel like if they came in the door and said, hey, we'll offer you exclusivity for 5 years, but we'll guarantee that it will never go to Game Pass, Jim Ryan would accept it in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But what I do think is, though. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Well,
you go ahead, mate.
What I do think is, see, they had this view, Satya was like, let's let them compete. And that comment, how the comment from Satya doesn't line up with the stuff Phil says. Satya's comment comes over as, we'll take Activision and for our ecosystem, and that would be exclusivity. Now, he didn't say that, but now Phil's coming out, and I truly believe this. I don't think Microsoft are as confident as they once were about this deal's going to pass. And I think they've changed their tactic to saying anything they can to police the regulatory boards, because the only ones that matter in the contracts are, this is what many people are missing, is the FTC, which they'll pass it anyway because they'll be scared of getting rigged up with litigation. The CMA and the EU are on the contract of letter to intent. It has to pass. It's actually in Microsoft's own contract to buy the company. If it doesn't pass all 3 balls, the deal's tanked. That's it. You can't just have it. I've heard a lot of other podcasters saying, "Oh no, well they can get around this. They can pull all their products from the UK and Europe and force them." That doesn't really work in reality. Microsoft wants all 3 regulatory boards to agree. Yeah. So I just think Microsoft are trying to say anything they can now to try and get the deal to pass, regardless, because I can see why the CMA's got concerns, because on one hand, you've got Microsoft, Phil Spencer now saying, well, we want Call of Duty to be like Minecraft. But then new Bethesda releases, brand new Bethesda releases, a lot of them are becoming exclusive. Things like that. Some of their games are exclusive, some ain't exclusive. Because Phil Spencer does confuse me. Because one minute he's saying, oh, well, I think exclusives are going away now. A lot of people have used the argument where he's on about free-to-play games. But one minute he's saying exclusives are bad. Next minute he's saying, oh, I think exclusives are going to go away and everyone's going to buy games on all systems, no matter what system they're on. It's very confusing, I believe. And I've spoken to a few people about it in what he says. It's quite vague. Because he says exclusives are great. Then he goes, oh, I think we're going away from a future where the exclusives won't be a thing. What does he want? Exclusives or not exclusives?
No, but
then he's saying, then he goes on to say, well, what I meant was any console has Game Pass. That's not what he first said. He's changing the script a bit.
Yeah, but he's always said, the main thing, the narrative that he's always kind of stuck with, he would rather have all games on every console so everyone can access them no matter what. But that's not a reality. That's not going to happen.
So why hasn't he tried to put Halo Infinite on the PlayStation then?
How do we know he hasn't?
I mean, I think the reality of exclusives that we're looking at is he may have single player exclusives that stay on Xbox, but as far as multiplayer, outside of like Halo, Forza, and Gears of War, they really want those to be multi-platform just because there's more money attached to it. And you got to understand these acquisitions cost billions of dollars. And Microsoft is $1 trillion company, but at the end of the day, they want some of that money back. And keeping them just on Xbox and PC isn't going to cut it. Some of these games like Call of Duty that make hundreds of millions of dollars a day when they're doing good, they're going to want those on PlayStation so they can keep that money coming in. We all know that it's also about Candy Crush, but I mean, that also goes with like a different type of approach that they're going with. Not putting all their eggs in one basket with the exclusives. They want to branch out a little bit. They want to have Call of Duty games on PlayStation. They want that Candy Crush revenue. It's all about making their money back with all these investments.
Yeah, but he's like I say, it's if in an ideal world he wants everything everywhere, but we're not in an ideal world. We're in a world where there is competition and things going on, and it is what it is. And like I say, with the regulatory boards, it's as I think Luke has said on previous shows, they all have to pass it, or the deal's gone. They can't just have one or two. It's got to be everyone has to pass it in order for it to go through.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a wait and see. But I think, to be honest, he wants it. They've already said, Phil Spencer's come out and says that it's going to go into Game Pass. That's where they want it. That's the service they are building. That is their main focus of Xbox is Game Pass subscription. That is where the money is for them going to be in the future.
Well, let me ask you, BMG, do you think we would ever see Game Pass on PlayStation? I mean, do you think that would be something that could happen?
No, I don't think so. Sony's not at the moment. The current Sony that we have won't. Sorry, I've just seen a comment. It's sorry, UK Tazarus BMG. Ask Stubz if he still wants.
Don't even read it.
It just well distracted me. Oh my god. In the current PlayStation we've got with the current leadership, you'll never see it. It won't happen. I think it's going to be further down the line if they can come up with a how would I say it? If they can come up with a curated deal where PlayStation has so much on Xbox, Xbox has so much on PlayStation, but they're both going to want to cut of each other's subscription on the opposite consoles. It's something I don't think you're going to see it. If you are going to see it, maybe 10 years down the line, possibly. And I think, but if, because you would have to have such an incentive to do it. Yeah, Phil Spencer said, I want it on there. I'll have it on there in a heartbeat. PlayStation don't want it on there. And they don't, because PlayStation are trying to build their subscription service and make the way they're doing it be the superior one, which it isn't. As everyone knows, I'm a fan of both Xbox and PlayStation. And Xbox have the superior subscription service. There's no question in that. If PlayStation did day and date, maybe, possibility, it would give them a bit of a run for the money, but it still won't be on the same level as Xbox Game Pass, not because of the games, but Microsoft have got that checkbook behind them where if that was the case, if PlayStation did that, Xbox would just go out and splash out money saying, release your game day and date in Game Pass exclusive for 3 months to Game Pass. You can buy it a la carte, not a problem on PlayStation, on Xbox, but we want it exclusive for 3 months in the in Game Pass, and that's the kind of way it'll end up going if that's the case, and maybe that would push PlayStation to try and come up with a deal that benefits both companies, but. Anytime soon, you're not going to see that. As much as some people want to see it, your diehard PlayStation fans would sooner probably go and pin Microsoft to the ground before they allow this on their platform. But
it's a sure because although a few years ago, if you would have said. The majority of the PlayStation games are going to be on PC within a year, you'd be laughed at. So they are changing. I do think if Xbox say Halo Infinite, that just the free-to-play multiplayer mode, and say I do think Gears is going to get a free. I think they're going to take Gears free-to-play in a separate game of its own. If they went to Xbox, PlayStation, and put it on there. I don't think Sony would stop them. And I know Muppet's going to disagree, and probably you can disagree, but if it's a multiplayer, PlayStation could generate revenue out of that. Make a lot of money out.
Yeah, but that's it. PlayStation would only allow it if if Microsoft paid a cross-platform fee. they get X amount of revenue for having it on there and X amount of revenue for stuff that's sold like through battle passes and cosmetics and stuff. And I don't think Microsoft won't do it because it's in the long run, it's probably going to cost them more money than it's worth to have it, or they'll probably lose money having it on PlayStation. They want, as much as they want things everywhere, everyone play everywhere, and that's all good. But again, like you said, it's the subscription service that they're pushing, and nothing rivals it in the gaming.
No, it doesn't.
Area, nothing rivals it at all.
Welcome to the stream, Friendly Pest. You made it.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
Hey, not much. We're just talking about Call of Duty on PlayStation and them not accepting the 10-year deal.
Them sons of bitches.
I know, right?
So,
Hey,
just seeing Muppet's comment there.
We're talking about Game Pass, but speaking of Xbox services, Xbox Live is 20 years old, almost old enough to drink.
Well, it's cost plenty of drinking, if that helps.
Right. I guess it was November 15th of 2002 that Xbox Live launched, and of course, when it launched, it was revolutionary. It pretty much created multiplayer as we know it. Did any of you guys were any of you guys on Xbox Live when it first launched?
Yes, I was. I was around back up when we had dial-up internet, where you had to hear that weird connection tone, and if anyone picked up the phone, it knocked the internet off. I still remember where the only thing you could really do with the internet was ask Jeeves a question. That was very limited.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I remember because I had the original Xbox. I remember when they brought out Xbox Live, and you had to have that. Remember that? Was it like an adapter that had to plug in, or was that the 360? I can't remember if there was something first before when it was original Xbox, or something to plug in for the internet, but it wasn't really that good. But I do remember there was something you had to put in, and then you had that weird headset. Well, I say it's a headset. It was like a one ear covering mic thing that didn't work very well, and they improved it on the 360. But yeah, I remember them bringing it in. It was great for that first time, not having to get everyone round in one place, to have all the consoles and multiple TVs put together. If it wasn't like the split screen thing, and it was it was good. It was revolutionary. It's when the internet was starting to come into its own. Honestly, I think back now, gamers' problems today with how things are, if they weren't around then, they didn't suffer the pain we had to in our younger years, waiting for about 5 minutes for everyone to connect, and then take 10 minutes to load into a game, and you just pray to God that nothing cuts off, and you could play a game. But yeah, I remember Xbox when it,
Well, and you know what?
It's around.
They were so much better than PlayStation, because PlayStation, you had to plug that thing into the back of them, and the PlayStation multiplayer was so slow compared to Xbox Live. And it's it's kind of like you knew that Microsoft and Xbox had planned out how they were going to make that work before they even brought it to the system, because it was definitely a quality service.
Yes, yeah. PlayStation. Oh God! If anyone had the PlayStation 3 going into PlayStation 4, you probably remember the days where the PSN was down for a very significant amount of time, and you just couldn't do anything with it. And if you had an offline game, if you had an offline game, it was brilliant. But if you required the internet, you were screwed.
Yeah, yep. I remember that. I actually got 2 free games out of that: Infamous and Little Big Planet.
Yes.
But you never had that with Xbox Live. It's like they were always staying ahead of the situation, and you had minor issues here and there, but for the most part, and this is coming from someone obviously who's played on PlayStation for years, Xbox Live has almost always been head and shoulders above them all the time.
Definitely. They've always been the superior services at Xbox over PlayStation. Even now, I don't obviously, I don't know if any of you guys will know if PlayStation use Azure, which is obviously owned by Microsoft, because obviously there was a deal put in place years ago, about 10 years ago. No, it won't be 10 years, sorry. Yeah, would it be?
It was
No,
a few years ago. There was a deal
it was definitely a
for
few.
Microsoft Azure. I don't know if they actually
That's it.
use Microsoft Azure or not. Sorry, that's how a lot of
Exactly.
Americans say Azure.
Yeah,
We say
yeah.
Azure. But
Yeah, not sure if they do or don't use it, but PlayStation know their back end stuff isn't that good. It doesn't touch
it's not.
Microsoft's
No.
at all. But they are trying to improve that. They're requiring companies and developers that help with that sort of stuff, and we're going to see it improve. But they're always behind on that curve on the the networking side of stuff.
Yeah.
So
They used to
Friendly
have to take
Pest.
theirs offline for maintenance.
Hey,
Whereas
Friendly
Xbox
Pest.
is always
Were
up.
you an Xbox Live type of guy?
Absolutely. I remember when it first came out, I didn't have the internet to use it. Only one friend in my group had a decent cable modem, and every Wednesday we'd go to his house to play Halo. That was back during the GameSpy days, and then when Xbox Live came out, it required cable internet. It was
Right.
completely out of the question that I could use it for a while. I didn't finally have internet that was up to it until the 360 days.
Okay.
And I've always had mixed emotions about paying to play my games.
Right.
But there was no question that it was something new and different on console that you couldn't really do before, especially at the scale it was at. And it changed kind of the rules of the games in some way. Halo 1, for example, on GameSpy, you would create rooms and announce what map you were using and weapons and try to get people to join it, and then you would launch the game from there. But then Halo 2 came along, and it would matchmake for you and select the maps, and it was a completely different way to play, and it forced you to play maps that otherwise you would have skipped, and kind of that was fun in its own way because you had to get better at those maps. So yeah, I've been on Xbox Live since the 360 days.
So one sec. We've Muppet just saying he doesn't remember Xbox running around the world crying about it. This whole everything that's going on. PlayStation was invited. The same with many other companies that are in the industry and around. It's just because this is just more to light because obviously it's PlayStation, Xbox. But if it was the other way around, Phil Spencer, being the head of Xbox, would have been invited to come and have a conversation, give his thoughts and stuff on it as well. So it's not just PlayStation, Jim Ryan going on his private jet, going around every regulator with tears in his eyes. It's something that actually happens, and it happens in all different industries. It's not just gaming.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if Jim Ryan wasn't running around doing a lot of this stuff, that the the Sony board or the PlayStation board would be kind of aggravated at him because they would feel like he's not doing his job. And I mean, we could say as much as we want that he's running around and doing this stuff. And from an outsider perspective, that's exactly right. But he answers to a board of directors for PlayStation, for Sony, for whoever you're talking about, that want him to represent the company's best interest. And they're going to want him to fight tooth and nail, even if he loses, even if he looks very negative in the eyes of gamers. They don't care about that because essentially this is tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars that they could potentially be losing if he doesn't get involved in some, at some level.
Yeah, definitely. He's got an obligation. At the end of the day, what anyone thinks about him, he's got a job to do, and he's obligated to do everything that's in the best interest for PlayStation and Sony. That is his job. His job is to make money. He is a businessman. Whether you like him or not, he is a good businessman. And whether we agree with the prices they charging for upgrades and whatever else, however you look at it, people still keep subscribing. People still keep paying for it. In fact, a lot of fans are happy to pay the higher price. And when they seeing that, and when they're looking at their books, looking at numbers and seeing, say, even though we put the price of the PlayStation 5 up, they're still hard to get a hold of and going through the roof. To them, well, we've made we made the right choice because we're making even more money because we're saving on components and stuff. So, however we look at it, they are making money. They're doing as far as his board's concerned, he's doing a good job. Again, he's like Phil Spencer. He can't go and say anything publicly without clearing it through PR, the board. Everything's looked at and seen before anything is said. No, these men aren't stupid who just come online and just say stuff for the sake of saying stuff. They literally have to. It all goes through these different departments before anything is said. So
I'm gonna disagree. I don't think the things he said is actually all that indicative of good business practices, and he couldn't get away with it if he wasn't speaking for the PlayStation brand, right? I think that brand carries enough clout and influence and favor that he can get away with a lot of the stuff they've done. But imagine if Xbox was saying and doing the things that PlayStation has done. I don't think it would be nearly as well received. I'm going to disagree with you, bro.
Well, no. Oh, no, it'd be disagreed with. I don't agree. I'm not saying that what he's doing I fully agree with or anyone else, but I mean from the company side of it, it's the company that are happy with what he's doing and the way he's doing it. And Xbox are the same. They're happy way Phil Spencer's doing stuff, but Xbox, it's always an uphill battle. It always has been, and it probably always will be an uphill battle with anything that they do.
And that's probably to our favor that Xbox has to. I mean, they kind of have to be flawless, which I'm not saying they are, but they have to be flawless, or any weakness they have will be highlighted and exaggerated, and they have to improve on that point. Where PlayStation could really do a pretty poor job across several capacities and be forgiven.
Yeah,
I think what they're doing is similar, but I think their demands is kind of where it's different. Because like if PlayStation had something that was going to stay off of Xbox and Phil Spencer went to negotiate, they may offer him a 3-year deal and he'd be like, done. But PlayStation, Xbox is offering PlayStation 10 years and they're like, nope, we want it off Game Pass. So it kind of feels like the techniques and the strategies are the same, but their demands and what they actually want, to have that cooperation, that's probably what would be different. Because it kind of seems like PlayStation knows they're on the short end of the stick right now as far as a lot of different aspects of gaming. Now, they have things that are going right for them, like the PlayStation VR 2 and other things. But as far as, especially with Game Pass, because Game Pass is so big, it feels like that's kind of what they're fighting against, and that's why some of their demands might be a little more steep than something Xbox would demand.
Just looking at Po's comment, it says, I think it's all Jim Ryan's strategy or his idea to be super aggressive against the deal. That he has to be. He has to be against it. He has to actively fight against it because it's not in PlayStation's best interest that this deal goes through. It's not. Yeah. And to be honest, if they turn around and say, yeah, we haven't got a problem with it, just do what you want, it's, he probably won't have a job by the end of the week. He's got to fight it, whether he agrees with any of it or not. His job is to not let this deal go through so he can get as many years deal in and exclusivity on Call of Duty and other Activision Blizzard King games as possible. And when he says it's already backfiring because now it doesn't pass, Microsoft has no reason to play nice. And I agree. If the deal doesn't go through, I think we're going to see a very aggressive Microsoft, and they're just going to chuck loads of money at every third-party game possible to get it in the service, no matter the cost.
Yeah, Luke Steele did bring up a fair point. I mean, we don't honestly know if Sony doesn't want the game to go to Game Pass. I don't think they've said that officially. I'm sure they've said that internally, but of course that's just speculation on our part until something actually comes out. But I mean, you got to look at the situation where Microsoft offered them a 10-year deal with Call of Duty, and that's still not good enough for them. So
what you also got to bear in mind, Sentinel, is when Luke says these things, he is an M&A lawyer. He understands what.
No, and I understand that, and that's why I said he makes a good point. Because until they say something publicly, from the outside, it's just us speculating, why PlayStation didn't accept that 10 years. It doesn't make sense because it's like if I was running PlayStation and Microsoft said, hey, 10 years, I'm like, that's straight because that's for the rest of this generation and probably the first couple years for next generation. But again, from us on the outside looking in, There's no real way to tell what's going on, how they want to negotiate this sort of situation, and why PlayStation refused that. And until they announce something publicly, again, everything that you see in podcasts and online is going to be all speculation from the outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know
It's
many
interesting.
people
It's gonna-
probably
yeah,
disagree.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what's going to happen, where it's going on. Like say Luke says, we don't know if somebody wants it to or not, going Game Pass or not. And like I say, no, they haven't actually mentioned anything about going into Game Pass or into PlayStation Plus or anything like that. But it'd be interesting to see what happens, because maybe that could be a deal. Maybe Xbox try and do the smart thing and say, right, when it comes into Game Pass, won't go into Game Pass for the first, let's just say 6 months, maybe as an example. But after that, it's going to drop into Game Pass, but we'll drop it into PlayStation Plus as well. That way, they can still make money off a la carte deals in that first 6 months, but also then get a cut for everyone that downloads it on the PlayStation service as well as Xbox. Because, there's a chance that could kind of, bring PlayStation round a bit, saying it might bring more people into our subscription service because it's going to be in there 6 months after release. Is a possibility.
And they're still trying to get this new 3-tier PlayStation Plus thing off the ground. It's interesting because I think you had a lot of people that subscribed to the old PlayStation Plus plan, and I did too. I did for years and years, but this new 3-tier plan where it's more expensive and where it can be a little confusing if you're not savvy with this sort of thing. It's going to take some more effort for them to get it off the ground, and I think until they really get this new PlayStation Plus system in place and it's really pulling in the numbers, they're going to be somewhat antagonistic, even if it's not officially. Internally, they're going to be pretty antagonistic towards Game Pass, because Game Pass has it figured out. It's not overly confusing. It's like, if you don't want to include multiplayer, it's just Game Pass. If you want to include multiplayer Xbox Live, then it's Game Pass Ultimate. And they're probably going to phase out Xbox Live. We don't know yet. Some people have talked about that. But right now, Xbox Live plus PlayStation Plus is Game Pass Ultimate. Very simple. So many titles day one. So PlayStation is trying to get their new PlayStation Plus 3 tiers off the ground and trying to figure it out. And I kind of feel like once they figure that out, that once they figure out what they're doing and they get it where they can communicate it clear and consistently with their consumers, they may not be as antagonistic towards Game Pass, because they'll be like, well, we have this working for us, so now we can compete on even ground.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd like to see them drop Live. I think that would be quite a big thing for Xbox. If they could drop Xbox Live, and it's free. Online's free, free to play, games free. If you've got any games you own, play them online with your mates, we party chat for free. Because I think, chat, or if one of you guys might have to double check it for me, or just make sure I'm right or wrong. Is it that Xbox Party Chat is still tied to Xbox Live, or did they drop that? Because I know there was talk about dropping it, but I never, because I've always had it myself. I don't know if
off the top of my head, I don't remember. I know that was something people were talking about.
We looked this up like an episode or two ago, and you can do Party Chat without gold.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. No worries. Yeah. So
Again, the reason why I didn't know is because, like, me and my teenagers, we've had Xbox Live Gold for years, so I had no idea if you could do it without it.
No, I know why you guys didn't know. It's because I said it, and you guys keep me muted.
No, only like half the time.
See,
but yeah, it'd be good if you could just do away with it. Have Game Pass. I think I remember a while ago when we thought Ubisoft Plus was coming to the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and there was a chance that that's when they were going to drop the Xbox Live and then rework the tier system, so you could just have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate or Ultimate Plus, where you get all the games plus their expansions and what have you. So it'd be interesting to see where they do go in the future with it. I wouldn't say Xbox subscription side's confusing or anything like that.
Yeah.
You have got the free tier system, same as PlayStation. You've got the free tier system, but the PlayStation one's just, you can tell they've kind of rushed into it than planned it out, because the premium, you'd have to be absolutely insane to want to go PlayStation Plus Premium, because they're treating it like it's the third cousin that lives in the closet, and
Right.
chuck you the odd backwards compatibility game from the PlayStation 1 or whatever. You might
Or the
get
VR
two...
guy that hangs out in the podcast. I get it.
Yeah. But the extra tier is full of VR games and stuff, and they've got loads of decent stuff in there. The extra tier is where they're all concentrating. Now you can tell that's what they're putting everything into. That's where all the games are going. Premium's just giving you access to PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, but the catalogue's so small, and they seem to take more off you than they give you. So
yeah,
I don't know. Xbox are definitely superior in it. I don't think PlayStation would touch it anytime soon. And if they came close, Microsoft would just open that checkbook and you would just see it change again. But competition's good. Competition means we benefit. And even with all the console wars, you see it all going on. People say my box is better than your box. My subscription is better than your subscription.
Yeah.
As long as they're competing and there's competition, these companies are going to strive to do us better and get us better deals and us better games on the platforms. And I'm all for that.
You know, another benefit of having Game Pass is that we're finally getting Battlefield 2042.
Hell yeah.
Finally, Battlefield 2042 is coming to Game Pass on November 22nd. And I think a lot of us have been saying, you know, with the poor launch of Battlefield 2042, it made more sense to bring Battlefield 2042 to Game Pass a lot sooner than they did. But I think they were just trying to see if these updates that they released since launch helped to increase the numbers. And it obviously hasn't enough, at least to keep it off Game Pass. But I'm happy that Battlefield 2042 is coming to Game Pass Ultimate, because now you're going to have these people that haven't played it yet or played the trial and weren't really impressed. They're going to be playing it, and they're going to help to increase those current player counts that are important for people that put out these types of games. What are you thinking about 2042 coming to Game Pass, Animated Pest or Friendly Pest? Getting
Animated Pest.
Now you're Animated Pest because you got your little you got your little picture up there as animated. So no, Friendly Pest. 2042. What are your thoughts on this coming to Game Pass?
No, like I said, I just bought it, so that's why it's coming to Game Pass. You're welcome.
Oh, kind of like washing your car whenever it's whenever it's sunny out and then it rains the next day.
Exactly, or buying a motorcycle. I've been playing it quite a bit since I bought it, and I think it's really improved a ton from the beta. I think the beta was a horrible idea and gave it a bad look, and they should have worked on it more before that point, or just delayed it altogether. But I had a good time playing it. I like the pacing because it's a little slower, it's a little less hectic. Yeah. Hopefully it finds new legs in Game Pass, but I've not had any trouble at all finding a match even before this coming to the library. I would say my average wait time has been like 10 or 20 seconds to get into a match, and it's a good game. I'm looking forward to playing it with you guys.
What about you, BMG, since it seems like Stubz dropped off?
Yeah, I think he's having issues, internet or something, but we lost him there just before as well. Well, obviously, because I remember when Battlefield 2042 was revealed, absolutely looked amazing. It was a day one buy for me, and then when the reviews dropped and the reviews didn't look very good, I was quite a bit disappointed. So I thought, right, I'll hold off. I'll wait till the game's actually in players' hands, that people that pick it up, and we'll see what happens. And then got into people's hands. People weren't happy with it. Core features were missing, and I was like, no, that's it. I'm holding off. I'm not bothering. Sod that. And then when the seen improvements, things have got better and better. And then also seen that it's coming to Game Pass. Well, Game Pass EA Play. So you can't just have Game Pass. You have to have Game Pass Ultimate, which gives you access to EA Play, because that's technically the service it's coming into is EA Play, which you do get free with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and I currently have it downloading to my console because I'm quite excited now to jump into it, because now I don't have to put down all that money to may or may not play the game once or twice and think, nah, it's just too awful. Now I can try it and see what I think. But I'm looking forward to it. The last one I played was Battlefield 4.
Yeah.
I wasn't keen on 5, wasn't keen on like the World War style of it. But
Everybody loves
2042
Battlefield 4. Everybody still loves it.
Oh, I love that.
Not me, bro. Not me, bro.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Remember being up in up in that high-rise building with snipers, and then everyone would turn up with the tanks, bring the tower down.
Yep.
Oh, classics.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
It kind of feels like the writing was on the wall before Bobby Kotick came in and screwed everything up. The writing was on the wall for EA to be acquired by Xbox, by PlayStation, because you have, all those EA games in Game Pass Ultimate, and it felt like they had a relationship going, and they were ready for it, and Call of Duty and all these franchises kind of caught Microsoft's eye when Bobby Kotick comes in and says, "Hey, buy us." It sucked, because it's like, in my opinion, I think if they would have acquired Electronic Arts rather than Activision Blizzard, PlayStation would not have put up as much of a fight.
Yeah.
And I it's like this whole Activision Blizzard thing, there's so much more resistance to it than we saw with Bethesda or any of these other acquisitions. And yeah, I understand the whole, the crazy stuff going on at Activision Blizzard, especially with all those employees getting abused, and pretty much this is the only way to fire Bobby Kotick. But it still has me wishing that they would have acquired EA anyway, because we wouldn't have had to wait for 2042. We wouldn't have had to wait for, I think it was Jedi Fallen Order had released, and it wasn't on the service for months and months. But I think they have a good relationship now. I kind of feel like with 2042 coming to Game Pass, I kind of wonder if there's any possibility that we're going to see that new Need for Speed game come to the service within the first 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Electronic Arts wants to, they're going to want to push units. They're going to want to get millions and millions of copies sold. But Game Pass is making a lot of money. It's making enough money to get all these third-party games on it. So you got to wonder, with Electronic Arts really trying to improve their public image, if there's some sort of deal going on right now to maybe get Need for Speed on the service within the first 6 months. Because they have Battlefield 2042 coming to the service a year later. I mean, I guess anything's possible with Electronic Arts and Xbox,
Yeah, I think it was EA's last earning call. They actually said they've actually made a hell load more money, and it seems to be a brilliant thing for their games having it a part of Game Pass. They're very impressed with it, and I think that's what's kind of steering Ubisoft into that direction. They're seeing, hang on a minute, we can make money having these games on this service. Not all day and day. Some of them coming, like, say, 6 months later, 12 months later, whatever it is. And they're still making money off them games, when they've kind of squeezed everything they can out of, buying a la carte, and then they're getting people, then they're getting a cut from a subscription service as well. It benefits them. And to be honest, I think Battlefield 2042, I would have probably put it in the service sooner to try and get more people in, but obviously there is that possibility they were holding off just to try and polish it up first, maybe, and then put it in Game Pass, bring in a whole new audience and revive it. Because I do obviously think now Call of Duty's out and Battlefield's going to struggle more, and it's it is going to. But if you then have access to, I think, what's Game Pass at the moment? The last number we got, 25 million, I think we last got announced.
Yeah.
So that's potentially 25 million new players to play the game, which is a lot. That is a hell of a lot of player base diving into the game to play it at no extra cost for them. And if they enjoy it.
And you're exactly right, because I mean, how many of those users on Game Pass, when you're looking for something new to play, you pick a title that you might not have played before, or that you just wouldn't have picked. And you check it out and you realize you like it, and you end up buying it to support those developers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. You end up, or even if you don't buy the game, so say like, yeah, right, I've got it in Game Pass. It's going to be in Game Pass for the next 12 months or whatever. Just for example, I'm not going to buy the game because I've got it in Game Pass, but I'll buy some cosmetics. I'll buy the expansions. There's the other opportunity. Well, when I fell off Destiny a long time ago, and then when I came back into it, because it landed in Game Pass and the expansions landed in Game Pass, and I found, well, I'm not going to buy them because they're in Game Pass, but I was spending money on cosmetics because I felt like, well, I've saved money because I've not had to buy all these things outright because I'm already paying in a subscription service. So so I give a bit more to the developer to show a bit more appreciation. I was picking up some cosmetics and things, and it was, and I think that's what a lot of people do. I think there was not the last earnings call, but the earnings call before that. There was a huge increase in people buying the battle passes, cosmetics, and the odd expansions for games that they were playing in Game Pass, and they were seeing there was a huge increase in that because people weren't putting that initial money down to get the game in the first place. So it can be a win-win for some developers, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of these developers definitely need a boost. I would say Volition needs a boost with their Saints Row reboot. It didn't do too well. And in fact, they're getting folded into Gearbox, according to what Embracer Group, their parent company, has announced. Have you guys heard about this?
Yes. Go on, Pest. I'll let you go first. I think I've done a bit too much talking.
Well, Friendly Pest, please let us know what you think about that.
What was the name of that game again?
It was the Saints Row reboot.
Saints Row, yeah. They fold them together. I don't know. I didn't. The game wasn't really on my radar. I think they should have played a little more to their core audience, which was kind of the absurd, over-the-top humor, and I think they thought that maybe they had a game that was good enough to stand without that, and seems like they might have been wrong about that. So I wasn't particularly interested, and pay too much attention. If it came to Game Pass, I might try it. Otherwise, not too interested. So I don't have a lot to say on that one.
Right. Your thoughts, BMG?
Yeah, it's a shame because obviously the Volition was bought and brought into the fold, as well as Gearbox, and obviously many more developers that the Embracer has embraced into the family, as they say. But yeah, from Saints Row, they played it too safe. It wasn't the game that everyone thought it was going to be. We was expecting, this big, again, checkbook behind them. They could go back to the roots, make Saints Row as good as it was when from the originals, put more into it, make it bigger and better. And they just played everything safe because they was worried about offending everyone.
Yeah.
I haven't played the game. I did hold off. I have seen a lot of videos and stuff, and a lot of people talking about it. Redders from XBL and Ash, I'm a Ghostbuster from XBL Party Podcast. They both got it, played it, reviewed it. So go and check that out, guys, if you want to watch a review. But they were saying the same sort of thing. They played it too safe. For the story they were telling, the characters they had didn't make sense. You had these hip young people wanting to revive this, the saints and stuff like that, and it just didn't make sense. And I think that's what's lost them. If they just done what they did with Destroy All Humans and just remaster it, make it play in 4K 60, you could have remastered the original 3, and that would have made way more money than what this game's made. And then or do what they've done about the other game that I think we may or may not talk about. I don't know. With the Legacy of Kain, where they did a big survey. I did the survey. I filled the survey out. It took me about 10 minutes to do it. But they went into detail what you wanted to see, what you wanted to do, what you would have preferred. And they could have gone down that route before they did anything. And it's obviously what they did didn't pay off. The game didn't do well critically. It wasn't very well received. And then they're now looking at thinking, look, we've got all these hundreds of devs now. We have to start consolidating and moving things around. Volition didn't do that well with Saints Row. and now they folded him into Gearbox, which is a shame because Volition is a really good studio. They did some good stuff, and hopefully, even though they've been folded into Gearbox, maybe they'll make another Saints Row game, but maybe go back to the roots, maybe do some remasters or something like that with the all the engine and the power behind them with Gearbox. But I don't know. It's a shame to see. I hope nobody loses the jobs. I do hope they can come back with something soon. But that's the nature of the game, in the way things are today. It's just. Sorry, I think Stubz says he's backstage. I don't know if it's his internet or something that's playing up. He says he was backstage. Is he at the bottom there? Is he showing at the bottom?
No, not yet.
All right, Stubz, if you're listening, if you add yourself back in, then Sentinel can add you in, or Pest.
Yeah. Now, maybe their problem was they just entered too crowded a market. They should have went to a more generous ground and made a VR game instead. They
could have done that. I think that would have been interesting. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of VR games, in the open world crime action game. I think that would have been interesting. I think they kind of set themselves up for failure with the new Saints Row game. I pre-ordered it because I'm a big fan of open world sandbox games. And, when I played through it, it felt like, it kind of felt like it was fan fiction. To explain that, I'll use the new Matrix movie kind of as an example. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It didn't feel like it was made by the same people. It felt like fan fiction, like it was people who are just fans of the franchise that all got together and happened to, convince Keanu Reeves to make the movie. And that's how the new Matrix movie happened. It didn't feel like it belonged in the same universe. It felt like fan fiction. That's kind of how this Saints Row game felt. Like it didn't, it just didn't belong in the Saints Row universe because, if you would have had, you had Johnny Gat, you had Shonda, you had Pierce, they would have beat the hell out of this new group of Saints within like 30 seconds. It just felt like it just felt like it did not belong in the Saints Row universe. The way they conducted themselves, it's not like Hardened Criminals, and it's like I've known a lot of people that get out of college and they're trying to pay their student loans. None of them have ever considered going into a life of crime to pay their student loans. And that was the motivation for this new group of Saints to become criminals because they're going to pay their student loans off. It's like if they were the type that were going to partake in a life of crime, they probably wouldn't have gone to college anyway. It's like, why waste your time 4 years in college getting a degree and then I'm just gonna I'm going to become a criminal and start and it's just the whole premise was just stupid. And it's kind of like the people that originally made the Saints Row franchise, like they were no longer there, or like they go to the door and they try their little ID card to get in and they're like, I'm sorry, you're not allowed, your ID card's been deactivated. It kind of felt like the people that could have made this franchise successful and positive, like they just weren't brought on board. And another big problem is when the fans who are passionate about this and may know more about the series than the developers, when these developers started completely saying, we're not going to listen to any of this feedback, and then after it came out, you had some people that were directly associated with this studio disrespecting the fans on social media. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. You look at the Sonic movie, fans came out, they said they didn't like the original look of Sonic, and they delayed it and they reworked it, and it came out and it was spectacular. It's like, that's what you should do. It's like, these people are fans for a reason. They support your brand, they support whatever your product is, and if they have feedback, you should listen to them because you're selling to them. If you come out with something like Saints Row, where there's obviously a cult following for this Saints Row franchise, and they're telling you this and telling you that, and you're like, no, I'm not even listening to any of that. It's a new take, it's a modern take, whatever. It's like, Saints Row is not a modern franchise. Saints Row should just be a franchise. However,
Yeah,
Saints Row is, I mean, that's the mood, that's the theme, that's the feel you should go with, not your modern take on this. Oh, college kids are going to take up a life of crime. Are you kidding me? It's like that's like the stupidest premise I've ever heard in my life. You know, if they're taking up a life of crime, you know, then white collar crime or something. You know, it's not going to be them robbing a check cashing place or stuff like they're doing in this game. It just made no sense. You know, but the whole situation, the whole situation with Saints Row was it was just a tremendously missed opportunity because aside from Red Dead Redemption 2, we haven't really had a lot of open world crime action games show up in the past few years, and they had a chance to really knock it out of the park. And they dropped the ball because they didn't respect the fan base and they didn't really listen to what made the Saints great. That's just my opinion on the situation. You know, they didn't listen to the fans.
No, I agree. And I was never that big a fan of the franchise, but you're right. It's been a long time since we'd had a new release in that category. And there's a lot of opportunity there. Maybe, I don't know. They definitely didn't respect what people expected from the franchise, though. I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, I am glad to see, though, that the creators or the developers behind Legacy of Kain respect the fan base. Crystal Dynamics said it hears fans loud and clear after over 100,000 responses to a recent survey about a potential Legacy of Kain revival. And I hear about Legacy of Kain all the time. Going through these different threads on Twitter, and you see people asking about Legacy of Kain. They want to see it back, and it's great to see that Crystal Dynamics is like, "Hey, we hear you. We hear you loud and clear." It's great that they're actually admitting that they're listening to fans. What are your thoughts on a possible Legacy of Kain revival?
I have no thoughts as I've never played it. So
Really?
I like Crystal Dynamics' work, though. I was like, most of the stuff they make I like, but I've never played the originals.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're underrated. Crystal Dynamics in general, it kind of feels like they're underrated. What are your thoughts on Legacy of Kain, BMG?
Give me the originals remastered. I love the Legacy of Kain series. Always, Razzle was an awesome character. I think now with what there is now and where technology is now, they could do a proper remake, even not remaster. Let's have a remake. Let's rebuild that game, the original from the ground up. It was amazing, flicking between the two worlds and stuff like that. It was a brilliant series, sucking the souls out of people and that. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Even the OM games, I love them. Part of the Legacy of Kain series. I want to see it come back. I think before I got a new game, I would like them to, remaster or remake the originals, so it can kind of bring people into what the series is. Because I think if you just released a new game in the series, you're not going to get many that are going to know what it is. They're going to look and go, "What's this? I've never heard of this." Because if they make the next game's clearly going to be a continuation of the previous games, and no one's going to know what's going on. You do some remasters first or remakes, whichever's probably remasters going to be the cheaper to do.
Yeah,
bring them out. Probably get them in a subscription service, or bring them in, sell them at a low price. Let people try them, get them to want to play a continuation in that story. But yeah, the worlds were amazing, the characters were amazing. I did feel at some points it was sort of ahead of its time. The whole dual world thing, flicking between them, and it's just a shame with the technology they had then they couldn't flesh it out enough. But from looking at what they've been asking in this survey and what they wanting to see what people want, I think that's only going to be good for us. I like say, being a fan of the series, getting that email to ask me to fill out a survey, and then it was in Twitter as well, so you could go in and do it. I think they had 100,000 questionnaires filled out, so it's not a huge number in the grand scale of things. If you're basing a game just off 100,000 people, the game's not going to do very well, because if you cater it to that 100,000 people, you're potentially alienating millions upon millions. But if you can remaster the originals, make them look better, let everyone have a play of them, then maybe come back again with another sort of survey that's not as complicated as long as the other one, and maybe get a bit more feedback when you've got more of a modern player base or the younger player base, should I say, have a go at these games and see what we think. But yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I agree that, with the remasters, it kind of feels like that's a good stepping stone. Because some of these franchises that people are real passionate about, some of these newer gamers, or like myself, I've never played Legacy of Kain, but I hear a lot of people talk about it, And some of these remasters or remakes, it allows the developers to bring these games to a new audience while adding things that are essential, like quality of life improvements. Like, some of the older games, like I think Devil May Cry, the older games had camera issues, but these quality of life improvements for some of the remasters or remakes, you can fix those issues while still keeping the same feel of the games that you want to bring to this new audience. And I think if they're looking at remastering or remaking, some of these older games before they're bringing something like Legacy of Kain back in a completely new reboot, I think that's a great move because it helps to get a potential audience as well as the older audience reinvested in the franchise. It sets it up for success.
Well, you look at the Destroy All Humans. They've literally just remastered 1 and 2. Brilliant. At the stuff that it's not amazing, cutting edge, but some of the stuff they've done is really good, and it's got people into them. They both have landed in GamePass. They've just taken the first one out. The second remaster's in there now, Reprobed, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'll do the third game because the third one was awful. It was really bad, so I can't see them redo it. But maybe it's a stepping stone. Say, right, we've re-released these 2 games, we remastered them. They've come to good reception. They've had a lot of people have played them. They got them in a subscription service, which clearly works really well for them because I think they came out and said it done absolutely amazing, done brilliant. And I think then we're going to see something in the future where they could say, right, this is what the kind of game they want, they enjoy. Let's make a new Destroy All Humans, and then they can make a new game. Now everyone's had a chance to play the old game, so
yeah.
And hopefully we can do the same with Legacy of Kain and see where we go from there. UK Dazarus is only 27. You're not 27. You're older than me. I'm sure you are.
I think he wishes he was 27.
Oh dear. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Talking about revivals and reboots and such, Ubisoft is finally showing, I think they showed a screenshot from the Splinter Cell remake that they're doing. Which I think a lot of people have been asking for quite a while. And, it's great that Ubisoft was actually listening. It's like the last game was Splinter Cell. What was it? It was like Splinter Cell Blacklist or something on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Long time ago. Yeah. People have been asking for it. They had like a couple of missions, I think, that they added to Ghost Recon Wildlands. And people have been really adamant and really vocal about, Sam Fisher coming back. And it's great to see that Ubisoft is finally showing the screenshot off and saying, hey, here you go. We've been listening to you. Here's what we have so far. Just a little teaser of what it's going to look like. What are your thoughts on the Splinter Cell remake?
Me or Pest?
We'll go with you. We'll go with you first.
Like I say, Splinter Cell Blacklist, the last one that they did, they used a different voice actor, went for a bit of a younger Sam Fisher. I don't know why they went in that direction, but it was actually a really, really good game. The way they presented it, the way they did each mission, you kind of like walked along and saw the name of the level you was on, kind of like on the wall and stuff. It's really, really good. But it kind of obviously got stuck on the 360. You can actually get it backwards compatibility, and it runs at 4K 60 on the Xbox Series S and X, or 1080p 60 on the Series S. But it looks absolutely beautiful. If you played Assassin's Creed Unity recently. That feels like a brand new game running at 4K 60 on the series consoles. So I recommend picking it up if anyone's wants to go back. I think currently it's part of the Black Friday deal, and I think it's coming about in the UK. It's about $5.29, I think, thereabouts. So it's fairly cheap to pick up. But yeah, they've literally shoved Sam Fisher in everything but his own game. He's been in a mobile game that got cancelled. They were doing that. What was that battle royale type game where you could be? They had like different factions, and one of the factions was the Echelon 9 or whichever it was.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, that I don't even think it came out. I remember it being announced, but I think they ended up scrapping it in the end. I think I'm not 100% sure on that one. But yeah, and they put him like saying, obviously, Ghost Recon games. He's literally been in everything but his own game, and that's all everyone's wanted. We just want a new Splinter Cell, and now they turned around and said, "Yeah, we're not going to give you a new Splinter Cell game. We're just going to remake the original," which, to be honest, I think a lot of fans will be happy with. And, you've got to remember, it's a franchise that goes back to the original Xbox, the original game. It does Splinter Cell. So you are going to see more of them, maybe, again, like what we've just been talking about with like Destroy All Humans and Legacy of Kain, remake the original, bring people back into the franchise. You can buy them all on backwards compatibility, but yeah, you get a full remake of the original. That sets you up for where you can move the story forward, because you're probably going to see them redo the same with the other games. Up to Pandora Tomorrow. Was that the second one, I think, thereabouts? I think, was it the third one, Pandora Tomorrow? On the
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think it was the second. I could be wrong. Chat, if you know, let me know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. It looks good. We've only seen concept art screenshots. Look amazing because obviously it's a still, but it's how they're going to bring a game like that up to date. As we know, they remade the remaster of Last of Us Part 1, but it's still the same controls, which is, a bit strange. You'd thought with them updating everything, the controls would have got overhaul as well, and they didn't. So, and if I remember 4 years ago, I went to a gaming convention, and they had a retro area, and they had an original Xbox out there with the original Splinter Cell. So I thought, I'll give this a bash. I haven't played Splinter Cell in years. And it was awful. Played absolutely abysmal. And I thought, how did we play games back then? It's just like...
Well, yeah, it's because you didn't have the upgraded control system and all the stuff that they've developed over time, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I like the idea of having the game remade before they go into a sequel. Remake the first 2 or 3 games before you do an actual sequel. But the downside is the longer it takes them, the older the voice actor for Sam Fisher's getting. I can't remember his Ironside. I can't remember his
Michael
first name.
Ironside.
That's it, Michael Ironside. It was on the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't remember it. But he's not exactly a young chap anymore. So, they're kind of going to have to get on with these games if they're going to want him back to voice it, voice the character. That's if he is. We don't actually know. I don't think they announced or haven't really announced much yet. I don't even know if Michael Ironside's even coming back to voice Sam Fisher. They might decide to do what they did with Metal Gear Solid 5, and they recast David Hayter, who's played Solid Snake and Big Boss in every single game, and recast him with Kiefer Sutherland, which was awful, which is the biggest mistake ever made. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to have him back, if they're going to recast him, if they're going to try and reboot the series from remaking the first game. I don't know, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Splinter Cell's been gone for too long. It's time we get another one.
Definitely agree. I think there's room for Splinter Cell to really do well because, like you said, we've been without it for a while. So it'll be interesting to see how well it does. There is an update, I guess, to Xbox. It's a November update. It lets players join Discord voice channels directly from their console. It also includes Discord audio improvements, plus a new wish list and game capture features. What are your thoughts on this new update that lets players join Discord voice channels?
What the Discord part's interesting to me. I'm not as familiar with it. Wonder if it's super intuitive. I think it's great because I know quite a few people that game on Discord chat primarily. So, but it'll matter entirely how intuitive it is, right? Because if I got to work for it, I'm not going to bother. But especially for cross-play games, I think that's pretty awesome. Did they specify how they're improving the capture app, etc.?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Let me see. I know they said I'm looking for the capture app. Let me see. Microsoft said today's update includes a new capture app offering improved viewing, management, and editing features. These include increased bitrate for playback of 720p and 1080p clips on the Series X and S, and the ability to copy game clips and screenshots directly to an external drive.
Oh, nice. That's I think that's been a long time coming. I think that'll be a huge improvement, especially for people that like to record and share content, which I've taken favor to. The current app's old and slow and frustrating, and sometimes won't let you see your stuff, and so I like that a lot.
What are your thoughts on it, BMG?
Well, obviously, was it last month or the month before they actually introduced Discord onto the Xbox? Because if you went onto Discord now, there's actually an option on the bottom of Discord to connect straight to your Xbox.
Yeah.
So you can switch the audio over. But now but it was very limited. But now you can actually on your console, you get the app on your console. The hardest bit with Discord and Xbox is the linking Discord to Xbox. It's a bit of a faff for about 5 minutes, but then once it's done, it runs nice and smooth. It actually works really well. But you can literally say you're playing Xbox, and everyone's on Discord. All you got to do on your console is click Discord, click the channel that everyone's in. That's it. You're on headsets with in Discord in that channel, and that's it. It's as simple as that. So whether someone's playing on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, whatever, whoever's just on the phone, on a microphone like we are now, anything like that, everyone could just talk together seamlessly on whatever you're on, as if you're all just in a party chat at the exact same time on a console or PC. So it's good. It's good. It's good integration. It's very strange though, because it was a couple of months ago, PlayStation announced the partnership with Discord, where they've bought in part of Discord, they bought shares in Discord, and they announced it was coming. Yeah. So you would assume with their announcement first and everything that they would get everything first, but there is still no Discord on PlayStation, which is strange as a native app. So if I wanted to talk with someone on PlayStation now, I think if they, as long as they were on Discord from whatever headset they were using, we would all be linked. But I do believe it's meant to be coming now. I think it fully integrated as Xbox is early next year. Whether it's an issue, I'm assuming it's an issue on the back end is why they're still waiting. But Xbox have always been quite good with the party chats and stuff, and they're pretty much if you've got a PC, laptop, or anything that's running Windows or anything like that, you've probably got Discord on anyway. So it was probably quite an easy flick of a switch, so to speak, on the back end of stuff to get it all activated. So, but no, it's good. It's good. It's knowing that you can, you don't have to use the party chat. You can use Discord. You can have people drop in and out, from different things while you're playing. If you were streaming games, everyone's audio could be included through the chat and stuff like that. So it's good. It's nice to see these sort of things being integrated more and more better, and it's only going to get better as time goes on, I think.
I completely agree. I think I'm a new user to Discord, so I'm still getting used to it. But I think having this feature on Xbox and all these improvements that they've been making, it's definitely a step in the right direction. And I think a lot of people are really going to appreciate it, especially those that use, the Discord voice chat on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's gonna do now, but it's better. It's better for communities. It's better for people. It's better for everyone in the long run. And the fact that these things just keep improving. Are there going to be teething on the way? Of course, there's going to be. There's going to be issues here and there, but Xbox always seemed to be on the forefront of innovating on the software side. I think over other consoles. But yeah, it's good. It's good, and I like it.
Outstanding. And with that, that's a wrap on episode 8, Stasis Chat Podcast. Everyone who showed up, everyone who's checking it out, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. Obviously, like this video, share it with your friends, those that may enjoy our podcast, those that are interested in gaming. I also want to thank Friendly Pest, BMG, both of you for showing up. Stubz as well. He was in and out for a little bit, technical issues, but it happens. So Friendly Pest and BMG, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me. Sorry I was late.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Anyways, I do want to say one last thing. For those of you that are looking for an Xbox Series S, they are going to be on sale on Black Friday. I believe they're $50 off in a lot of different places. So check your different retailers. Obviously, check their websites to see where they are on sale and for how much. Some places like Target will actually give you a gift card with an Xbox Series S. So if you're looking for one, if you want one for your game room, maybe one for your kids' room, definitely check out their websites. Look for those deals. They're going to be great on Black Friday. Anyway, that's it for Stasis Chat episode 8. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And also don't forget to like and share this with other people that may enjoy gaming podcasts. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
Ladies,
Bye.
everyone.